There are 3 simple steps to sounding professional like Steve Jobs.
We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet.
Today, we're going to use this famous interview and learn 3 lessons you can immediately apply to your own English. Stick around to the end because I'll give you the full interview with the script so you can analyze yourself. Steve Jobs doesn't use difficult vocabulary. He uses expressive, professional, and impactful vocabulary to catch people's attention. This is what I want you to do. So let's start by looking at the language Steve Jobs actually uses in this interview.
An incredibly collaborative company.
Incredibly is a wonderful adverb which I like to consider an upgrade of very. Anytime you want to say very, try using incredibly. Instead of saying it's very useful, say it's incredibly useful, incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging. I use incredibly a lot. I also tell my students here to use tremendously. That's a similar word. You use it instead of the word very to be a bit more expressive and impactful with your language. Talking about tremendously, our next adjective is tremendous.
There's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company.
Now this can mean great in scale or simply very good. So for example, I have a tremendous amount of work means I have a lot of work. Or I can simply say the movie was tremendous. The project results were tremendous. It's another really expressive word, and in fact, it's an extreme adjective. An extreme adjective means that the adjective contains very plus a regular adjective. So you can't say very tremendous. It already contains the word very, so you'd have to say it's absolutely tremendous. I recommend looking for a list of extreme adjectives. It's a great way to upgrade your English.
And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time.
Come through is a very common phrasal verb in business. It means to deliver or successfully do something that's expected of you. In this case, Steve Jobs talks about his workers coming through, so they deliver on what's expected of them.
And all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently.
Touch base is a real buzzword in business. I hear it so much. It's been used with me in meetings and people use it in emails. It's a very popular word. It means to simply contact or communicate. So for example, if I say I'll touch base with you later, it means I'll contact you later. You'll very often find that the phrasal verbs, these popular phrasal verbs, are more common than the simple vocabulary. For example, instead of contact, you say touch base. And this is something I discussed in a recent video, so go and check that out after this. Now, these are just 4 words to get you started, but we need much more than that to have an effect on your whole language. I recommend a few ways of approaching this. Firstly, of course, use this channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos giving you lists of language you can use. And go and check out BritPlus.net. That's my website where there's a lot of free materials, textbooks, courses that you'll be able to use. Apart from that, find your own lists. Try to get small lists of phrasal verbs, adjectives, verbs that are common in business. Don't get a giant list. Make sure it's in a logical order or it's within a logical category, and step by step upgrade your English. Steve Jobs uses pauses to emphasize a point.
You have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win. Otherwise, good people don't stay.
Using pauses captures your audience's attention or the person you're speaking to. It's a very powerful way of communicating. On the other hand, if you use filler sounds or words, that is the best way to lose an audience and sound like you don't have confidence. Filler sounds are filler words are well, like, just. If you keep using these sounds or words, it waters down your message. It doesn't sound as powerful. It sounds like you lack confidence. Making this change is much easier said than done. So here's what I want you to do. Record yourself. It could be doing a speech, it could be practicing your English, it could be speaking to someone, it could be in a meeting, and analyze the recording. I want you to listen for filler sounds and words. Identify them, find your common ones, and get in the habit of replacing them with silence. This is something that takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, even for me as a native speaker. I do have my habitual filler words that I'm always trying to remove. So do the same. Record, identify, remove, and use that silence. This links to the third and final lesson today, which is to slow down. If you slow down, take your time, don't panic, the audience will listen. It's not what you'd expect, but the majority of students in this academy speak too quickly. When they're nervous, they try to say things as quickly as possible. And that's a terrible habit in your speaking, especially if you're doing public speaking. When Steve Jobs has something important to say, he slows down, he makes eye contact, and he emphasizes the key words. This doesn't mean speak slowly. If you speak too slowly, the audience will get bored. So don't make your entire speaking slow. If you listen to me right now, I'm speaking at a comfortable pace and I have a rhythm, but when I want to emphasize a point, I slow down, I make eye contact, and in my case, I use my hands, I use gestures to emphasize a point. Again, this is all about habit and something you can work on and improve quickly.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work for you.
Oh, yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. Oh, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So,
otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Now, if you made it this far in the lesson, give me a thumbs up emoji in the comments, because I'd love to know who's dedicated to upgrading their business English. And don't forget, go and check out BritPlus.net. That's where you'll find all of my courses, textbooks, and free materials for you to download. Thanks for watching today's lesson, and I'll be back next week for more business content to help you become a global leader.